Hi there. Oh my god. This was awful. Okay, so OBS did not capture the audio at first. And I had to struggle. Why did it not connect to the browser audio? Just why? Why OBS? And you will notice that it's doing it now. It wasn't. And I spent an hour and a half. I was supposed to start at 1, but guess what? It's 2:41 just now, fresh out of the oven. Welcome, one and all. This is gonna be a short stream because my god, thank you. So I downloaded the audio, and it still, I mean, it worked, and then it didn't, and then it did again when I turned the browser audio back. Anyway, look. I had the, oh my god, it's got ads. It said it didn't have ads. Today is just going spectacularly. Welcome one and all. Today I had a nice little idea that we could design some characters. Why not? Because I thought I had time, and this is a lengthy process. But I guess we can just go over the simple basics. Oh, I got a notification, and it's not mine. Weird, that one time it did pop into mine. Anyway, hello there. So, a little friend of ours in the Discord chat, she said that there could be some background characters that she might need help with, and I said, hey, I have until Friday to do this, and I wanted to maybe talk about designing some characters and talking about character design a little bit. Let me just turn on Clip Studio. I'm gonna make sure everything's clean and beautiful. There we go. So I had some ideas because character design is pretty fun. I'm not the best at it, but we could try something together, you know? Maybe the previous streams where I was talking about making our little guy here, you see, our little friend in ⴄᴗtube, maybe you still don't have the right idea on what your character should look like. So I imagine, hey, it's a good idea to start thinking about, I don't know, just thinking and talking about character design in general. Like I said in another stream before, making this little guy, this little bad character, took a little bit. And specifically the details that would make this character recognizable on the spot and able to be differentiated from just about any other character that might exist that is similar to this Malayan fox bat. There are not many that I've seen around, but there are still fox bats around, you know, characters that OCs make. So how can I differentiate myself from any other you know, besides color and stuff? I was actually thinking about when I mentioned last stream that I was gonna make a starting screen, a waiting screen. I was also choosing specific colors to go with this little character. And sure, it's a floofy naked character which is all brown, but there's also colors like blues and creams and oranges that I want to add with him. But that's something for another day. Today, the necessity is that we need some background characters, and I've assembled 6 designs, 6 sketches, not designs really, because they're still not done. That's our job right now, to do it together. So let me just pick this up, turn down OBS, and start turning on layers. Actually, let me put OBS on the side so I can watch what's up on the screen. The music's set, there shouldn't be any issues. Dear God, please let there not be any issues. Shrink her down. Don't worry, I am professional. Nothing bad can happen. Nothing ever goes wrong on streams, right? Everything's always hunky-dory. Okay, so the idea and characters in question are called kobolds because it's a fantasy genre comic book, and she needs some background characters for it. And these characters are of the species kobolds, known in D&D to look like this: semi-reptilian, humanoid creatures that turns out are not really smart at all. They're really short-lived and dumb, but they do have a lot of good, as it says here, pack tactics. So they work together. They're very social within each other, within their social structure. Light sensitivity, this is important. So they live mostly on isolated areas, caves, you name it. They use simple tools, dagger, slings. Look at their clothing. They're like a very tribal kind of creature, and we gotta match that in her story. I mean, we definitely always can invent new things. This is not set in stone, but for the sake of, you know, let's say that we've locked it up into a fantasy world where these characters are just one of the bottom of the barrel kind of creatures. Tribalism, short-lived, very stupid according to the stats here, wisdom and intelligence, also charisma. In this context of the game, of a D&D kind of context, charisma refers to like their ability to be charming, their ability to be cute, or I mean, we can still make them adorable depending on the character. Again, this is character design, not monster design. So this can be arbitrary different. We can make a smart kobold, like the only one that's smart in the whole group and hopes for better things, but is too light sensitive and is finding ways to get out of it, you know. So we can design silly stuff like that. It's never going to come into fruition. But here's an important thing: even background characters deserve for you to give them something that's appealing, that makes it, because the world your characters are in, be it that you're making a comic book, simply a painting, the world needs to feel like a character itself. And the world is dressed by not only locations, but also the people that live in those locations. They might not have anything to do with the main plot, but it's still good to think about the going-ons, the daily routine, that also adds up to the mentality of the main characters. Like, oh, obviously no one goes to the abandoned landmine. Everybody knows that it's got X, Y, and Z effects, and at one point we see a scene where a background character gets dragged in and never heard from again. And it's kind of like, you know, you don't need to explain the story. The background characters and the background events that may or may not be happening at the same time tell the story for you. You don't need to write or say anything. And that gives you more opportunity to think about what's going in the foreground, more than just trying to do exposition for 10 hours. You know, a bunch of characters in a room talking about what's going on. Instead of that, you can be more organic. And so if we design these background characters with some appeal, not too much that it distracts, but enough that it says something about Kobold society. So the things we know about Kobold society, as we've stated, is that they are social within their ranks. Let's make this a little bigger. I think I was going to make 6 characters, so I'm going to think about 6 specific categories. They are social, they are primal. There's no nice way to say it. I feel mean, but you know, come on. In this case, I want to make them charming. Not completely, but they can be a little charming. Because this isn't a horror story or an action series where we're going to be like, these terrible kobolds, they killed my family. No, they are like, oh, look, it's a little cute kobold group. They are gross and stupid, but, you know, they grow on you. That kind of feeling. That's what I want. Okay, so social, primal, stupid, uniquely charming. They actually have been inventive. Stupidly inventive, but they always have this little sense of wonder within them. They make up for their physical ineptitude with cleverness for trap making. See, so they are inventive, really. One last thing, one last little detail that can, you know, oh, in the story they have some level of pride, or at least some of them have some level of pride.
The Great Kobold Society. We, what? Who are you?
Although it says here that in the default D&D they are lawful evil, like who cares? We do whatever we want, so long as it fits the story. Who gives a damn if they're good, evil, whatever. Alignment charts are dumb anyway. They're not a rule set in stone. They got their use, but not here. We don't need it. When it comes to small humanoid, we can get inventive, because part of character design, if you're planning on multiple creatures or main characters in your story, to make them interesting, you gotta think about shapes. It's one of the core aspects of character design. You gotta think of... Let me move this up. You gotta think of things like proportions, making the characters read from one another. They gotta have personalities that reflect on their very poses. You see, you can infer a lot of information by just looking at these characters. If all your characters look the same, even if they're posing different, even if they're doing something crazy or what have you, yeah, the personality's shining through, but there's nothing too spectacular about them. They're pretty much the same. But with this, a size differential, a shape differential, and also a theme differential. If all your characters, even though they might have different shades of the same thing. Wow. Advertisements. I really need a... Okay, hang on. The audio is connected, right? I cannot be the whole stream with ads. So let's go to... Oldie but a goodie. Oh my god, wait, I think it won't work. Oh, it works! Oh, I'm so happy. Not my favorite, but let's go on. Let's go off, coin. Anyway, as I was saying, even if they might be different, they gotta be distinct enough. I actually recommend, when it comes to tutorials on how to make good character designs, I recommend these videos, and I'll put them in the description. These are my go-tos for when it comes to character design. BAM Animations shows more or less the structure of the 3 categories in which a character can be very appealing. When it comes to silhouette, shape, language, and the color. And Super Eye Patch Wolf actually talks about semiotics, which, BAM talks about it, but the idea of everything that a character has, their clothes, their body language, their posing, their structure, it tells a story without us knowing, but specifically combining multiple meanings. And creating not only a combination, but something that goes beyond everything together. So like if a character wears gloves like the Power Rangers, you can already think like, oh, they're some sort of Power Ranger-esque. They have a team, or they have some sort of superpower that it's kind of like a Megazord Ranger or whatever. But they also have a chef's hat. It's kind of like, oh, they're a ranger, but they're also a chef. So it's kind of like superpowers based on cooking or something. So they have like fire and metals and foods and whatever. And like you see, all these combinations already make you... It's kind of like weaponizing prejudgment. You know, prejudice is good when it comes to character design, and you gotta make sure that people do judge your book by the cover, and you gotta get good at that. It's kind of like making a video thumbnail. You gotta make sure that the people grasp what the video is going to be about by just making the image. You see, it says character design very big. There is a pen aiming at a character, so you assume that this is going to be, oh, we're going to design this character, and many more. And the same thing here. There are 3 characters, very different from each other, and it says it here. What makes a good character design? I mean, of course, the thing here, the time kind of blocks it, but you get the idea. On a single glance, I gotta know what your stuff is about. So let's consider these things and put them on the corner. This is as I remember them. Color, silhouette, color language, shape language, silhouette, there's also other things, but let's focus on these for now. Right now I have an idea to make a kobold. We've seen the general idea here, the original general idea. Now let's follow something along the lines of what she has already drawn. This is a reference that she shared with us. Now this is how she draws, this is her style. And while I'm going to try and match it, it's not going to be perfect. What we're trying to get here is the general idea of a unique character. And already we can study from what she's done that this is a good hierarchy. We have a rising line. They're not all the same height. They're not all the same shape language. And you can see it even in their faces. Their structure is completely different. They're not like the same-ish character with different colors. And also the way they wear their clothing, even though it's minimal, it reveals something about them. This one's... let's infer. This cape is very kingly. The same thing with this diadem crown thing. And look at this face. It's a very carefree face. Kind of like the smolder, very... And in here we have a little bit more... It's even hidden. Let's make like a little mask. Like if we were to make it a person, this is pretty much what it is. And in here, actually this is interesting because it reminds me of a Neanderthal. So you got like this monobrow structure. So we can actually design something like this, but very wide-eyed. So it makes us think, oh, this character is dense, or at least potentially dense. This one is smug and kingly. And this one is a little bit more reserved and quiet. Specifically because, you know, scarf. Very simple to see. And this one's a little bit more open, you know, she's got... You know, she's very expressive, but also looking like, oh, head empty, no thoughts, excited, but reckless, it seems. And the smallest of them all, so we might imagine that either she is weak or the one that is, I don't know, like the smaller one that gets dragged on by the bigger ones, while this guy is in the background being a little bit more hidden, you know, more cautious. You can see it in his eyes that he is looking around for things. Although it doesn't mean that this character is fragile. It could mean that if you see like the style of the arms. It doesn't seem that she is too fragile though. She could surprise us, because while she is short, there's also a lot of thickness to her body, so she could be dense both in the head and in muscles. So what she makes up in intelligence, she makes up in, you know, in strength. And this guy seems the opposite, standing taller, being more attentive, and being lankier. So yeah, more or less, by just looking at these three, you can definitely write a story with just them three. So let's try and do the same with our own ideas. In the same spirit, let's make them trios. Hey there, Broken Flag. What's up? These are my first 3 idea designs. I decided to separate them by age and mannerisms, as well as extreme shapes. This one's broad and very square-like. This one's a little bit more triangular with the staff, and a little bit older and fragile. And this one's the youngest, maybe standing within realms of chibi, so circular, and a lot more energetic than the rest. And these signifiers will make us have a nice dynamic between the 3. Although we gotta justify a reason why they would stick together at all, so that will come also with the rest of the design. So we have the basics. Let's make it transparent and start making the draft for this little guy. So now, considering how kobolds look, things that cannot be completely taken out of it is that kobolds are semi-reptilian, so they have this section here, kind of shared by all dragon reptilians, if we go and see, except for chameleons, because obviously chameleons have a unique structure of eye. But if we do look at the majority of dragons, it's kind of like this. So they are indeed draconic. Kind of like dragon puppies. Thanks to that snout. A dragon dog. Another indispensable part of the design is the spiky head, which we can simplify, really. We don't need to make all these individual tiny spikes. We can do what she did and just generalize. Lower jaw tends to be separate, it seems. Puppy nose. Perhaps longer. Again, it's really much like a snout. So that's basically the idea. Puppy dragons. My original idea was more chameleon dragon, but yeah, I'm gonna need to change that. Although here, I want to make a kooky old man. A kooky old kobold. So let's just make like a 10-yard stare kind of guy. Let's replace this chameleon pointy thing with a more dog-like snout. Now, a thing to note about older characters. Oh yeah, I see you, Broken Flag. I see you on the chat. It might be delayed though. So the second that I go like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, I can count. The last time was 15 seconds of delay. So I might not respond immediately, despite me wanting to. But don't worry, we'll get through this. It's gonna be a short stream. I might end up like at 4:30 or something. It's just that the OBS was a mess. If you look at the rerun, my past self can explain what happened. But yeah. So now we can make like a diagram of topography here. And this is the other side. See, I'm planning this little thing here. I'm gonna delete this now. I don't need it anymore. It's just a guide. So the thing about old people, old characters, is that normally you would draw a skull like this. You know, the upper half, the bottom teeth, the top teeth. But the thing is that when you grow older, your teeth vanish, right? So instead of having it like a normal thing like this, your jaw clenches. So older people tend to have a more squished up face. Much closer to their cheekbones than when they were younger. When they were younger, they had older teeth. So if I want to make an older kobold, I'm gonna have to imagine that either they lost all their teeth or at least the support. So this one's not gonna have teeth. I could make the jaw a little bit wider and give like the little squishies that this guy's harmless. It's kind of hard to show it off with reptiles because reptiles indeed have a unique structure that may or may not forever generate teeth forever. Like there's no end to them. But we can have fun with kobolds because again, they're kind of like failed dragons. According to the lore, more or less. I don't know. Doesn't really matter here. Considering that Dungeons and Dragons is starting to get a little bit more, at least Wizards of the Coast is starting to get a little more touchy with what they allow and what they don't and what they monetize. Very touchy subject. So we kind of have to say, oh no, this isn't a kobold, this is a kolot or a kocholt or whatever, you know. We kind of have to make stuff up. Now here's the question. Would an elder kobold have horns? At least similar to the ones in the original. Like a young kobold with their gleaming visage. I can imagine either an older kobold's horns keep growing uncontrollably on this little feeble little head that can barely hold it on. Like, oh god, oh jeez. Or one that has nothing and just looks like a like a turtle. Just a depressed turtle axolotl with the side horns and no real horns. That's the decision that I gotta pick now. Let's see then. I do say, remembering the... And this is why that was a good guide. The original... Where is it? Ah, here it is. The original presets. We can give primal to this character as a identifying characteristic. So we can make them like a native full of jewels and charms and things hanging out, like a Rafiki, you know? Sort of like a Rafiki. So we can yeah, we can make them like they have broken horns for some reason. This is pretty much me making stuff up. When it comes to your character, whatever you're doing, again, thinking about the multiple, or the characters, we're making sets of 3s here. So when you're working on your characters, give them distinct, unique characteristics that, yes, it unites them as a people, but it identifies them personally. You know, one is for one character, another is for another, and they might share it. This character might be everything, but not at the same intensity, you know what I mean? This character might be very much more in tune with their native culture than being social. They could be very antisocial-ish, or at least sort of more or less care about this, but not as much as talking about the old days. When I was young, 2 months ago, again, kobolds don't live that long. 2 months ago, when I was young, we used to do it like this, and it brought us pride, rather than thinking about the actual social structure of maybe we can change for the benefit of others, and we can evolve for the betterment of... Nonsense! The past, the way we used to do things, this is the way, yeah. You see? And it also adds up to their stupidity. Like, how intense is this combination of stupidity and primal behavior versus social and uniquely charming aspects that might be a lot weaker. This character might be the kind of that is sort of social, but no one kind of likes him, and everybody kind of celebrates the day they are gone. It's kind of like, wait, did a slime eat him? Oh, thank God.
Mr. Lin,
You know what I mean?
fragancias duraderas con
Like,
este-
it's cruel, yes, but it's kind of the idea of how all of them interact with each other. So I'd say let's give him primal and stupid because it's funny. We actually can give him maybe a hat. Like this character has lived for a while, and a while I might mean maybe a year. This character's a year old but acts like a super ancient character. Maybe they stole something from the humans and they call it like an ancient artifact of great power, which can add to their pride and inventiveness and blah 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 blah. You get what I mean. So what would be fun for a hat in the medieval period? Let me look around medieval hats. Like a Robin Hood kind of thing. Actually, this cute dunce cap seems funny. Let me just take a screenshot so you can see what I'm seeing. Like one of these, maybe. Like, it's super common, but to them it might be a big deal. Because they're weak. They're very pedestrian creatures, but to them it might seem like a battle of wits and strength.
It was the time of my life. I fought this horrible merchant.
And we cut to him fighting this just normal kid. Like, get away! Get out of there! It was a fierce battle. Gets hit by a stick. Tossed in the river.
But I won. I took the trinket they treasured most.
Cut to. Well, at least it only got your hat.
It was a victory well won.
Maybe we can actually make it longer. It's basically a dunce cap. It's a very fluffy dunce cap. And he thinks it's very special. It's his pride and joy. Look at him. Actually, let's make his smile a lot more evident. He's proud. He's proud of what he's done. Yeah, we got this smile pushing up on him, so he can make it look a lot more mischievous. Let's give it an eyelash under. Actually, what are their pupils like? Let me look at the original. Yes, a slit, kind of like snakes. Yeah, slits. So let's do that. Normally I do them round, but this is a very peculiar character. There we go. It's coming along nicely. Now I want the other eye to bulge out, so let's erase this. This little line is basically this thing over here. So let's make it bulge out. I want this guy to be unhinged and crazy. We can see both sides of him. This is actually fun. And we can actually make this bulge up too. Let me get the chat back up. There we go. And now we can start adding a little bit more wrinkles, like sunken eyes. We're only on the face and it's already... Okay. So, I added like a hunchback. I think in order for it to be seen better. Let's put it on the side here. This can be covered in like his robe, so that way we don't have to draw too much. We can leave his face like that. A wrinkled face. And now we can have like a separate arm. Very twanky. Again, this is a basic sketch. We are going to redraw this, but a lot better. That's actually... How many fingers does a kobold have? Because I'm tempted to just give them 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Wait, hang on. The more important bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah. These ones have 5. You see, that's why it's important to check again. Maybe he used to have a lot of strength and stuff, but now he's a bit feeble. And you can see it on like on the hands. Callous, giant hands holding his staff. We can actually make his staff all jagged, crooked. But something that's tall and shows that he still holds either some level of authority or wants to command that level of authority. So the staff can actually be scarier than the old man himself. So we can give it a face, kind of like Jafar's staff. But again, I don't want this character to take way too much of the screen. Or at least of the attention. So we can give it something mediocre. We already established that probably he took this hat from a pedestrian person. So he's had adventures where he's left the cave. So we can give him a hiking staff. Now, what did he do with that hiking staff? They are inventive, but they're also very stupid. So maybe a staff that's mostly focused on just hitting things. You're hungry, hit a tree, get apple. You know what I mean? Very... yeah, I don't think they're going to have a very beautiful staff with a lot of whatever. Unless he took it from a wizard, which would be hilarious, that he has an overpowered artifact that he does not know how to use. That could be good loot and a good encounter. Unless it's just like a staff that glows and that's it. But he thinks it's like the most powerful thing ever. But again, this is a background character. He will not appear ever at all as a foreground character, so we should not give them strong plot elements. Just give them enough. So I'll have to resist and just give him a normal crooked staff. That's it. That's all you get, buddy. And now we can make the cloth, the legs. That's the thing, he could still have his claws. In fact, big claws. Overgrown claws. We can give it like the raptor that has like the one long claw and the rest are just normal. Oh yeah, I like that. Again, he used to be dangerous. He stole a cap from a little boy once. He's a mighty warrior. He's an example. No, it's just the one. The other one is just normal. It adds up then to his uncoordination. Is he coordinated? Just look at his symmetry. I don't think so. As for the tail, we legit could just not give him a tail. He lost it in that fight. That fight was the fight of his life. That's it. Oh my god, should I just give him one arm? Or the other one could be hiding behind the cloak, holding a bomb or something. You know what? I've not done characters like this. So let's just give him one arm. Why not? I gotta make the hunchback a lot more noticeable though. There we go. Alright, so we have 1 out of 6. We're making good time. Hi, Meichu. What's up? Sorry, I've only captured you this time. So now, let's move on to the other one. Now, while this one might be old, cranky, and mischievous, and very stupid, we can make a kobold that's big, strong, but actually a lot more intelligent. Not necessarily means that they want to leave the cave and become somebody, but they are most likely used as someone that just does tasks, kind of like a farmer boy or woman that just lives. It's like, yeah, whatever, this is my day. So again, we go back to the general ideas for these kobolds. They might not be inventive or as prideful in terms of their primal roots, but they can be uniquely charming. Actually, we can make them inventive and charming. Like, they're not too active, but they indeed see things that other kobolds don't. They're kind of like, or, you know, I could just lift you so you can grab the apple. I'm strong. People tend to forget that I'm here.
Oh, right. You big. You do it.
All right. I like that. So let's... I actually imagine them holding a barrel. Again, to show off what they do. It's part of their job. But let's start with the face. Again, a reptilian outlook. We can give them a more normal one. Although the bottom one, instead of being so squinted, focused, can be a lot more relaxed. That's the thing, this brow here makes it look angry and evil, but I want a shape like this. Alright, yeah, something like that. Although, every single line and wrinkle matters. Because see, now it looks like they are a little bit indifferent. Before they looked a little angrier. A single twist changes the mood of the character. These could be actually scenes. Normal, and then suddenly... Me? Or maybe something like... If I delete this, like, wait a minute, what? About the horns. Maybe they got low horns. Again, matching their personality. I want this personality of this character to be very mellow. They're huge and strong and whatever, but they're also kind of meh. This is life. No interest in anything else. They just kind of want to get the job done and eat. So no hint of anger, no hint of my huge aggression. Let's just give them the forehead here. The horns are downcast, but not necessarily sad either. So we can make them look healthy and strong, like they would be a warrior in another life, but in this one they just kind of wanna chill. And speaking of, we can give them a prideful chest like this, and then something that matches a wide shoulder stance. This is just these are my test lines. I'm gonna delete them later. I'm trying to figure out muscle groups and poses, because I want this curve of the chest pumping up. It's not pumped up enough, like if you see on the sketch. In fact, should be a little closer here. There we go. And now matching a little bit more here. More boxy, more reliable. No, boxes and squares tend to be more characters that are unmovable or that show a lot of resistance or strength. And this character, while their face does not show they are anything they want to oppose, there's still something you would bump into and kind of like bounce off. In fact, we can give them a short tail, because they're not much for... it serves its purpose. It's just for balance, and that's it. They don't need it to run fast. Their legs, though. I'm going by instinct, so I might need to change these into something better later on. But I need claws and feet that can actually withstand a lot of strength. So maybe trunk, thinker, lower half of the feet, the legs. Like this guy's a full-fledged kobold tree. In fact, let me see the reference again. Yeah, the inverted knees. These were really hard to make when I was starting to make character creatures. Like from the side you see them and they're kind of like this. In a way, it's kind of like drawing feet. You know, you have your thigh, you have the calf, and then you have the feet. Well, in this case, the feet are kind of doing this, standing on the tippy toes. But instead, the shin goes up all the way up here. I mean, not the shin, sorry, I forgot what this part is called. The ankles, sorry. Like the ankles go way up, and then the tippy toes become a lot more stretched, and those are the claws. And that's kind of like how I figured how to make them. But of course, depending on the creature, it depends on what's gonna be. Is it going to be soft paws at the end, or is it going to be claws, or is it gonna be chicken feet? But it's kind of like the same concept, except for birds, which this part will be feathered, and this part will be a lot thinner, you know, stuff like that. And when it comes to her designs, these are very simple triangles, so we don't really need to think too hard about this. Again, we're going to remake this later, so the first draft is definitely just not official. We're just figuring out a narrative within these characters. We can actually make this a lot more symmetrical, or at least a lot more planned out. Like this one can have rags and destroy clothing with a more erratic pattern, and this one can be a lot more cleaner, you know. Like, yeah, he's sort of unpreoccupied, but he cares about his appearance. So we can give him that. We can give it that he still has some level of pride. Not too much, but just enough that it's like, yeah, I still want to look good. So we can give him a sense of fashion. And here they are holding the barrel. And the claws moving back, as in, yeah, if I have a free hand, I'm not going to. Nothing sensational. I'm just gonna stay here and pose like this. We can actually give him something kind of Herculean. You know, some depictions of Hercules or Heracles has like a toga moving across their chest. So this guy can actually have like just a cloth hanging in front of the chest, just to show how much more legendary this character is. Like, he mirrors our human legends, but of course in kobold form. Actually give some of that decoration here. Again, not too much. The kobolds are very simple people. We can actually give him rope because he does a lot of tasks. So let's give him that he takes his tools with him. At least the rope. It's helpful for saving people. Maybe he pulled a bunch of kobolds from a slime. And ever since, he now has ropes on him at all times. And let's have the rope just dangle. Actually, we can have the rope tied on a noose, tied around his... Like, he has a noose ready to go at all times, and he uses it as also, again, decoration, like a arm bracelet or something. But like, all he has to do is like toss it, and he has a noose ready in case someone needs to be rescued, or he needs to stop somebody. So it ties around the tail of a monster, and now he's pulling the string because he's ready for it. You see, all these decisions allow us to make more narrative choices. Like, this character might not be ever in the front light, but if anybody needs like a reason why the kobolds can stop a monster from attacking the main characters at one point, you can just bring up this guy. Yeah, he's been there all along, and he's going to rescue them, and that's it. Oh, the kobolds help. And that's the only time we ever see of this guy, or ever hear, or whatever. He never says anything, but, you know, each character can also have a utility. And speaking of utility, how about a character that doesn't have any utility beyond just bringing up the charm all the way up? Let's make a little kid. A little kid baby kobold that likes to play pranks or has a bunch of dolls everywhere. Let's move this guy to the side, a lot closer to the old man. And now we have this. An old man that has tradition and pride. A guy who's opposed to pretty much all that and just wants to have a simple evening with some normal food. And now we have a little kid that wants all these things together at the same time except for chilling. And maybe they're related. Again, that's the reason these two can't get separated. And probably the reasons this guy cannot get away from this guy is because they tasked him for taking care of him. You know, senior citizen and all that. It's like, alright, it's time for your meds.
No, I refuse. I wish to fight the humans again.
They'll kill you, they're stronger, they're more powerful, they got fire.
Fire? Did you say fire? I like fire. Yes, child, embrace the darkness. Yes, I also have a slime. Get the slime away from me, this child is a devil.
Like you see, bam. Social interaction right there. You have a scene, no effort needed, no point to the scene except to just have fun with random characters being silly. And there you go. With these indicators of the general social norm, with unique sprinkles of making some stronger or weaker than the others, you get simple, fun interactions. Again, at least a fun look into the world of these guys. We got a veteran, we got a farm boy, and now we have the child. The crazy child. I kind of like the idea that feather hat for this character. It's a little bit of a dunce. So I could actually try and reflect it. I mean, my main sketch indicator was that it has strong eyebrow energy. So let's just go with that. Let's go with a strong top brow. Very thick. So thick that it even covers the top of the eye. No, it could even betray a little bit. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Very expressive face. Doesn't care for norms.
Bah.
We've definitely seen this kid in some sort of office somewhere. Okay, so this guy follows squares. This guy follows triangles. And this kid follows circles. So we gotta find designs that are either spiral, circular, fluffy. I'm thinking about the horns. Maybe they don't have horns yet. So they could have like a... Maybe they don't have a hat. But how do I... Because I don't want the kid to be bald, you know? Like if I close the eyebrow bit here. I don't want just to do this. You know, that doesn't look good. You know, I want a kid. I want a rowdy child. Let's see. Oh, I can actually... Okay. Okay, let me think. No. Actually, these two might have a relationship in the sense that this guy's a veteran and he's like, I bring trinkets from other time. And he's like, yeah, what did you got? And then he finds that, I don't know, maybe some goggles. Maybe this kid is inventive because I gave him like puppets. Oh, it's okay, Broken Flag. What kind of appointment were you? Were like in a doctor or something? Because, man, nowadays going out is very stressful and tiring, so I understand that. In fact, right now I'm home alone. My folks are doing their own business outside. Hope they come home soon and early. If not, I'm gonna give them the scolding of their life. Wow, this is difficult. Because, yeah, I should give him horns, but how else am I gonna show that this reptile is a little kid? Although then again, kobolds don't really live that long, so I could start giving them like a hint of that their horns are growing in. In fact, actually, maybe their horns are really big. Because they're young, right? They're young and springy, so maybe they get growth spurts all the time. And that's how they get shorter. They break a lot, and then they get more mild. It can also add to the idea that this kid is kind of like almost like a celebratory dragon, kind of like the Chinese parades. Yeah, this is good. And now, how about I give them a poncho? Yeah, I can give the kid a poncho because their body is really small, so it's kind of like the old man, but not quite. And that way I can actually make the kid hide a bunch of stuff. So the kid can get away with a lot of inventive things. They wear overgrown clothing. But first, let's make the outer. This one's kind of looking more like the original, so let's actually make it more of a round philosophy. Let's make a model here. This is just a ruler to follow. Get transparent. That way we know not to leave our circle idea. And their pose is a lot more dynamic. Kind of like chicken legs. They kind of don't care. Basically, they can just be hands coming out. Very little interest in the arms. One can be a doll, the other one can be like a ghost. They can both be bombs. He fools people and then when it's too late, it go boom. Or it comes from below. Yeah, I think for the ghost is better because it will light up the ghost, you know? So is that more like a scary jack-o'-lantern idea? Let's turn the thing off. There we go. I like him.
Yes, he's learning.
Alright, see? With this idea and philosophy, you can essentially just design whatever characters you want. We're gonna still keep this here because it rules for everybody. Not on the same caliber, but it always does.